What if I told you that somewhere in the remote highlands of Romania, there exists a place where cartographers refuse to draw maps, where government officials deny its existence despite documented evidence, where a thriving city of over 8,000 souls vanished in a single night, leaving behind only stone foundations and one impossible detail that defies explanation? Tonight, we delve into the case of Umbra Mortis, a name that translates to shadow of death, the city that disappeared between sunsets, taking with it secrets that powerful people have spent decades trying to bury. But before we begin, I need to warn you. What you're about to hear challenges everything we think we know about reality itself. Some stories are forgotten for good reason. Some mysteries are meant to stay buried. This is one of them. In the winter of 1947, British photographer Edmund Blackwood was traveling through the Carpathian Mountains, documenting remote villages for a geographic survey. His journal, discovered decades later in a Prague archive, tells of stumbling upon something that shouldn't exist. Quote, "Came upon the most remarkable settlement today, perched on a plateau overlooking 3 valleys. This city, for it can be called nothing less, houses what appears to be 8,000 to 10,000 residents. The architecture is unlike anything I've seen in this region. Black stone buildings rise in perfect spirals around a central cathedral whose spire seems to pierce the very clouds. Most peculiar of all, despite the bitter cold, every window glows with warm candlelight, and smoke rises from countless chimneys. The people wear clothing of deep crimson and move with purpose through streets paved in what looks like obsidian. I must return tomorrow to document this place properly." But Edmund Blackwood would never get that chance. The next morning, his journal continues. Madness. Complete madness. The plateau is empty, not ruins empty, as if the city never existed at all. Only the stone foundations remain, arranged in those same impossible spirals. I've walked every inch of this place, and found only one trace of yesterday's thriving metropolis. A single black candle, still burning despite the wind, standing in the center of what should have been the cathedral's altar. Blackwood's account was dismissed as altitude sickness, hypothermia-induced hallucination, or simple fabrication. But here's what makes this story truly terrifying. Edmund Blackwood wasn't the first to witness. Umbra Mortis, Jesuit missionary father Antonio Vieira wrote in 1658 of encountering a city of shadows that appears when death walks among the living. A Hungarian merchant named Estevar Bathory documented trading with the residents of this same settlement in 1743, describing their peculiar custom of only conducting business by candlelight, regardless of the time of day. Ottoman military records from the 16th century mention a fortified city in this exact location that would manifest when the empire's enemies gathered strength, then vanish when the threat passed. Each account describes the same impossible phenomenon, a fully populated city appearing and disappearing overnight, always leaving behind only stone foundations and a single burning candle. But the most chilling account comes from Soviet records, classified until 1990-1. In 1962, a geological survey team led by Dr. Mikhail Volkov was mapping mineral deposits in the Carpathians when they encountered Umbra Mortis in full manifestation. Unlike previous witnesses, they had cameras, measurement equipment, and radio contact with their base station. Dr. Volkov's final transmission reads, "Base, this is Survey 7. We've found something extraordinary. Repeat, we've found something that shouldn't exist. The city, ... the people here, they know things. They know about the nuclear tests. They know about the space program. They know about things that haven't happened yet. They're offering to show us something they call the Chamber of Futures. Base, they say, they've been waiting for us. They say, we're exactly on schedule." Base, what schedule? What did you not tell us about this mission? The transmission cuts to static. 3 days later, a rescue team found the plateau empty except for the stone foundations and that impossible burning candle. Dr. Volkov and his team were never found. But here's where the story becomes truly sinister. Through careful analysis of declassified documents, witness testimonies, and historical records, a pattern emerges. Umbra Mortis doesn't appear randomly. It manifests during specific historical moments, before the fall of Constantinople, during the Black Death, on the eve of both world wars, and always when humanity stands at a crossroads between salvation and catastrophe. The residents of this phantom city seem to exist outside of time itself, appearing to warn or guide or perhaps simply observe the pivotal moments in human history. But their warnings come at a terrible price. Every witness who's encountered Umbra Mortis has reported the same disturbing detail. The residents know things they shouldn't know. Personal things, family secrets. They know about your childhood fears, your deepest regrets, your darkest thoughts. They know how you're going to die. In 1938, German archaeologist Heinrich Zimmermann encountered the city while fleeing the Nazi regime. His diary describes being approached by a child who couldn't have been more than 10 years old. The child spoke perfect German and said, quote, "Herr Zimmermann, we've been expecting you. We know why you're running. We know about the documents you're carrying. We know about the experiments they're planning. Would you like to see what comes after?" Zimmermann wrote, "The child led me to a building that defied physics, larger inside than outside, with corridors that seemed to stretch into infinity. On the walls were what appeared to be photographs, but they showed events that hadn't happened yet. I saw cities burning, mushroom clouds rising, people in strange clothing using devices I couldn't comprehend." The child said these were photographs of possible futures, and that each candle in their city represented a different path humanity might take. But the most terrifying revelation came when the child showed Zimmermann a photograph of himself, decades older, standing in a laboratory surrounded by In the photograph, Zimmermann was smiling. He fled the city that same night and spent the rest of his life researching temporal anomalies and parallel realities. His final paper, published posthumously, theorizes that Umbra Mortis exists in what he calls the space between decisions, a place where all possible futures converge, and where beings with knowledge of every potential timeline observe and occasionally intervene in human affairs. But why? Why do they appear? Why do they show these glimpses of possible futures? The answer may lie in the candle every witness describes. The same black candle, burning despite wind and weather, standing where the cathedral's altar should be. Father Vieira wrote that the flame appeared to contain faces of the unborn, screaming silently into the void. Blackwood described seeing shapes moving within the fire, as if entire worlds existed in that single flame. Dr. Volkov's equipment recorded electromagnetic anomalies around the candle that shouldn't be possible. The flame registered temperatures of both absolute zero and over 3,000 degrees simultaneously. Spectrographic analysis of the light showed elements that don't exist on the periodic table. But the most disturbing discovery came from acoustic analysis. The candle emits sound a frequency so low that human ears can't detect it, but sensitive equipment can. When run through computer analysis, the sound forms patterns that match human brainwaves. Specifically, the brainwaves of someone experiencing their final moments of life. The candle, it seems, burns on death itself. Each flame contains the final thoughts, fears, and regrets of everyone who has ever died and everyone who ever will die. The residents of Umbra Mortis are the custodians of mortality, the guardians of humanity's collective end. And they're growing concerned. Recent satellite imagery of the Romanian highlands has detected temperature anomalies in the exact location where Umbra Mortis should manifest. Electromagnetic readings suggest something is building in that space between realities. Local villagers report hearing sounds at night, not quite music, not quite voices, but something that makes them want to walk into the mountains and never return. The Romanian government has declared the area off-limits for geological survey purposes, but leaked documents suggest they're more afraid of what might emerge than what researchers might find. Because if the pattern holds true, if Umbra Mortis appears during humanity's darkest hours, then its imminent manifestation can only mean one thing: we're approaching a crossroads that will determine the fate of our entire species. And somewhere in the space between heartbeats, between thoughts, between the moment we make a decision and face its consequences, the residents of the shadow of death are preparing to show us exactly what we've chosen. The question isn't whether Umbra Mortis will appear again. The question is whether humanity is ready to see what future we're walking toward. One terrible decision at a time. The city that vanishes between sunsets continues to haunt the edges of documented history. Government files remain classified. Witnesses maintain their silence or disappear entirely. Maps of the region show only empty mountain plateaus, but sometimes, on clear nights, amateur radio operators pick up transmissions from coordinates that should contain nothing but stone and wind. The transmissions are always the same: a child's voice, speaking in languages both ancient and impossible, saying, "We're waiting. We've always been waiting." The candle burns for you too. If you ever find yourself traveling through the Carpathian Mountains, and you see a city of black stone spiraling impossibly toward the sky, remember this: some knowledge comes at a price too terrible to pay. Some futures are better left unseen. Turn away. Don't look at the faces in the candle flame. Don't listen to the children who know your name. Because once you've seen the shadow of death, it sees you too. And it never forgets that the foundations are still there, waiting in the mountain silence. The candle still burns, and somewhere between sunset and dawn, between what was and what might be, Umbra Mortis watches and remembers every soul that has ever lived and every choice that has ever damned us. Sleep well tonight. Try not to dream of burning candles and cities that shouldn't exist. After all, they're probably just stories, aren't they?